Brian Powell of I Run Far here with Stephanie Howe before the 2014 Western States 100. How are you, Stephanie?
I'm good.
It's your first 100 this weekend.
I know. It's crazy. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it.
What's the hardest part to wrap around?
Running that far, I think, and the heat.
Is it the distance or the time that?
I think it's the distance. It just, I mean, that's a long ways to drive my car, I feel like. And so running that far, it's going to be a long day.
Yeah. And the heat.
The heat, yeah. In Oregon, it's been like 50 or 60, which is awesome for running, but it's going to be a little warmer here.
What's the hottest race you've done in the past?
Well, when I went down to Phoenix this spring, it was pretty warm. And Lake Sonoma a couple of years ago was fairly warm, but I mean, we're talking like 80s.
Yeah.
So
another 15, 20 degrees.
I know, no big deal.
No big deal. This is your first 100.
Yes.
What are you looking forward to most in the experience of it?
I'm just looking forward actually to the journey.
Yeah.
I've been here the last 2 years and just kind of like taken it all in, and I've just been really excited about like all the energy and like all the people, and so I'm really glad that I get my turn this year.
So you're actually looking forward to almost the Western States experience.
I am, the Western States experience, yeah. And I just, I've been doing ultras for a couple of years now, and it's time for me to step it up. And so I think getting my first 100 checked off the list is a big deal for me.
So you're not just headed in that direction, but it's something you want it to be part of your repertoire?
Right, exactly. I'm still kind of learning like what distances I like best, and I love 50 milers right now, but I need to give this a shot to really figure out like what is my best race.
Yeah, you might end up liking hundreds.
I might end up liking hundreds.
I'll ask you sometime late Saturday,
okay.
Early Sunday.
Sounds good.
Your fellow Bendite, Max King, took a lot longer to make his first jump. Was it you want to check out a new race distance? What exactly was it that?
I guess just being in the scene, like it's kind of one of those things that you do, and just this race especially, I've seen so many people do it, and I just really want to be a part of it. And I have some race goals for the future that include 100 milers, and so this is a good starting point. Like I want to do UTMB, but that's not a good first 100. So I want to do this, and then hopefully it goes well, and then I can do a few others.
Not this year, though.
Not this year. No, I'm not someone who likes to race a lot, and I don't think I'll be able to do more than one a year. Ever.
You seem to race even less this year, or at least race competitively this year.
Totally. Yeah, I learned a lot last year, and
you didn't even race a lot then.
No, well, I didn't because I was injured. But I think to me, it's more important to come to a starting line healthy, and I have a lot of other stuff going on in my life, and I just realized that I can't do it all, and so I pick important races, and then I do a good training block and recover.
You prepare really well physically, but you also seem to be really well prepared mentally and, knowledge-wise for your races. What have you done to prepare yourself for making this leap to 100 miles?
So my training has changed quite a bit, just because I was relatively low mileage, in the past couple of years, and so that was a big jump for me. To do that, I backed off in intensity, which I think we talked about Lake Sonoma. My plan was to do some big mile weeks and then back off in the intensity. So I did that. Nutrition's been a huge thing for me, and luckily one of the things that I know a lot about is sports nutrition, so it's been cool to take what I know and apply it, and it's really made a big difference. And then mentally, especially going into this race, I'm just trying to relax. I'm just trying to have fun, and my number one goal, well, I have 3 goals, but my first goal is to finish and to enjoy the experience as much as possible.
And the other 2?
Finish the first one. Second one, sub 24. And then if all things are going right, I'd like to be top 5.
Top 5?
Top 10.
Top 10.
Yeah.
But you'd like to be competitive.
I would like to be
if things are going, you're going to run within yourself.
Right.
But
I would like to be competitive for what I can do.
But you've been really competitive. You've been at the front, very front of 50 milers, and that's speed go and that sort of thing. How do you approach the first 50 miles here?
Yeah, that's a great question.
It's a slower pace and...
Yeah, so I can't do that because I am very competitive and I want to just go after it and be in the front. But I think, and just from talking to people who have done this before, I need to be patient. I can't bite. And that's going to be really hard for me. And I've told myself, you're going to do these things and you're going to hold back. But that's going to be really hard for me.
Have you built in any hard limits or I'm not going to go in front of X? Because there are going to be some women who go out.
I promised Zach I will not be the first woman to the top of Squaw Peak. So that's a really hard limit for me. There's no person, I guess, or really time that I've set myself up for, but I want to check in a lot and just be like, okay, can you run this hill, the second half this fast? And if the answer is no, then I'm going too hard.
It's a great way to gauge it.
Yeah. I'm hoping.
Speaking of hills, one of your goals was to become a better downhill runner.
Yes.
And talking to people who saw you out at Memorial Day weekend, you've succeeded in that goal. How have you done that?
So the past couple of years, I used to suck at downhills. I've made it a goal to practice every time I run down a hill. Don't just sit there and just kind of run down, but actually focus. And especially in the last few months, I've practiced hammering downhills. And it's funny because I think of myself as an uphill runner. That's my strength. But it's kind of changed a little bit. Now I'm kind of a downhill runner. So that's been really cool.
That makes you a lot more dangerous.
Yeah, for this race, it does. The steep uphills are actually kind of a challenge for me right now. So I like the long grinding uphills, but there aren't very many of those on this course. So it'll be hard. It'll be hard for me to use that. So I'm going to use the downhills.
Clearly you didn't have too much of a problem with the steep climbs with your success at Speed Goat.
Well, yeah, those to me are long climbs.
Okay.
And I guess there are a lot of long climbs out here too, but it's just a little different.
It is. Did you pick up any tidbits when you were out you've been on the course a lot, you've also been at Memorial Day training weekend. What have you learned in that experience?
I've learned so much, and I've had some great mentors. Megan Arbogast and Scott Wolf are two people that have especially given me a lot of tips. And I did a run with those two at AJW right before the Memorial Camp.
Yep.
And it was great because they were telling me all of the sites and all the landmarks on the course. And I was running right next to Megan in the front, and then there was a long line of us, and then AJW was bringing up the back. And Megan would be like, Stephanie, this is mile marker, whatever. And then a few seconds later, AJW in his loud voice would be, Stephanie, this is... So I got double tips.
On the ice cream sandwich run.
On the ice cream sandwich one. Yeah, that was a really good confidence booster.
From what I understand, you hadn't this season, hadn't trained over a marathon distance. And you got a long one in that day.
I got a long one in that day. And then I did a couple other big things for me. A couple 40 milers, 30 milers, which to me is just that's a lot of running. So, big step.
Obviously, you've trained a little bit differently, but do you feel as strong as you've been coming into an ultramarathon?
I do. The bar has been raised now, so a 20-mile run is no big deal. I feel slow right now, but honestly, I've been on the track a couple times, and I'm just as fast as I used to be. So it's been kind of cool for me to be able to feel comfortable running longer distances, but also feel like I'm still fit. So I'm excited. I'm ready.
You're ready for the experience? You're ready for the test? I'm
ready for the test. And my body is healthy, and that's been the most important thing. Ian Torrance coaches me, and that was one thing we talked about was how am I going to build up my mileage, get my body ready, but also stay healthy. And somehow it's worked so far.
And how do you do that, whether it's with a coach, with Ian, or with friends? How do you actually check in with him and make sure that you're not doing too much of it? What does he ask you?
Well, I email him a lot, and I'm really conscious of when things feel off or when I feel tired or run down, and I usually send him a panicked email oh, I was really tired today, and he's more just reassuring me and holding in the reins. But yeah, I communicate with him quite often, and I think that makes a good coach-athlete relationship. If you just have a training plan and you run with it, you're not going to be as effective.
Yeah. And does that mean talking to him about how your workouts go, or are there other aspects that you have to incorporate a coach in?
Kind of everything. I mean, mostly how the running is going, but then also things like mental stress, nutrition, hydration. Those things are all important too.
Yeah. You brought a lot of tools into this mix. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Enjoy.